Not the prettiest, but you get the idea. This is the first time I've ever played an ocarina. It's also the first ocarina I've ever made. So I've never actually played an ocarina that I didn't make. But I'm going to teach you the way that I figured out how to make this work. Also, this thing isn't tuned. I'll show you how to do that as well. In order to make our ocarina, first of all, we start off with a single wedged ball of clay. We now need 3 pieces from this. So first, divide your ball in half and then take a tad from each side so that you end up with 2 larger pieces and 1 smaller one. So the smaller one we'll set aside. We're going to do something with that later. With the first 2, you're going to ball them up and you're going to make pinch pots. I'm not going to explain how to make pinch pots because guess what? We already did that. If you need a reminder on how to make a pinch pot, head over to the pinch pot video. I want my ocarina to be sort of almond or teardrop shape, so I'll shape my balls of clay into approximately the shape that I want my ocarina to end up. Now you saw me do this with the other pinch pot, but I didn't really explain. What I'm doing is I'm flattening out the edges so that it makes it easier to slip and score them when in a sec we put these 2 together. Alright, next thing up, these 2 pinch pots are going together. You can see they sort of make a weird pistachio shape. So I can set my weird pistachio up, get my slip, get my needle tool, get anything off said needle tool, and slip and score this action. Now what we've just gone and done is created exactly what I've been telling you this entire time not to create, which is a clay bubble. If we tried to fire this in the kiln right now, it would blow up like a little grenade, and it would be sadness. Fortunately, this isn't where we stop. Setting our bubble aside, and the slip for the moment, we're gonna go to our little piece of clay, which is actually gonna be our mouthpiece. So we're going to elongate this a tad, and we're gonna widen it out so that it's sort of squarish. So we're gonna have a narrow end here, And then over here, we're going to have a fatter end. So the fatter end is what we're going to affix to our piece. The narrower end is what we're going to blow through. Now this brings us to an advanced piece of technology called a popsicle stick. You're going to need 2 of these in order to complete your ocarina. You're going to line up with the side you blow through, the narrow end. And you're gonna push in, and you're gonna make sure that you come out really sorta square on the other side. That could have been quite a bit squarer, but could also have been less square. We now have the base of our mouthpiece. Now, next part is how we attach the mouthpiece. This is the beginning of difficulties. Here I've drawn an outline of what is to be the cross-section of our ocarina. So far, all we've made is what's called the chamber. This is where the resonance of our actual sound is going to occur. However, all difficulties related to the actual function of that sound happen in here. Right now, the piece that we've just made, right here, this here is a cross section of this. So we can line this up this way. And we need this air passage to line up with the roof of our chamber on one of the 2 sides. Ignore this for now. This is even more difficult, but ignore it for the moment. But we need this air passage to line up with the roof of our ocarina on one of the sides. So with that being said, we are now going to attach our mouthpiece to our ocarina. So it's good, it actually makes it easier if you flatten out one part of your ocarina or another to make it easier to line up your mouthpiece with. So I'm gonna sorry I have that out of frame for you. I'm gonna take this and from here I'm gonna push in to there so that my air passageway lines up with the roof of the ocarina. From there, it's merely a matter of slipping, scoring, and smoothing. Okay, we now have a bubble with a hole in it. So now comes a little bit of measuring. So I need to make sure that I know where my popsicle stick is at inside of here. Doesn't have to be exact, but just to give me some idea. Now comes a second popsicle stick. This popsicle stick is a little bit special. So starts out as a normal popsicle stick, but then, sorry about bumping ya, we cut off one of the ends and sand it down so we have a nice smooth incline. Now, in this gap that should line up pretty much exactly with where the popsicle stick's at, that actually works a little better, there is a transition zone between where I attach the mouthpiece and the chamber of my ocarina. I want to match up pretty much exactly with where that is, and I'm going to turn this so you can see. I'm going to go in with the cutoff portion at about a 90-degree angle. Support it from the back and push in. So you should have a little cut like that. Next, we're going to pushing in at about 45-degree angle from this, from the flat it should have right here. We're going to push towards that gap. Oh, there we go. And then just lift that out of there. It's gonna look ugly at first, but this is going to be the wind mechanism. The actual portion that's gonna make sound. This is also the single most difficult part of the ocarina to get right. Alright, so now looking back at our drawing, you can get the idea that this here, that piece of clay out from under there, is going to be this angle. This incline must fall between the top and the bottom of our windway. This creates sound with the same way that if you blow into a bottle, you must hold your mouth in just the right shape so that you have part is blowing over the opening and part is going in. So right now I'm trying to do the exact same thing here. We're gonna see how that works out. I'm pushing down a little bit and I'm pulling back this way a little bit just to give me a little greater likelihood that it'll work the first try. Having a couple different inclines on there. So I'm gonna pull out my popsicle stick and I kind of thought that was gonna happen. Okay, so do not be discouraged if that happens to you. So it doesn't make any sound. We're going to work with this until it do. Okay, that's a start. So I guess it looks like at this point I underestimated how far in that shelf went. So you'll see that I have a shelf of clay up here, just like in this drawing, and I have a shelf of clay down here. It also must be noted that this shelf must be longer than this one. So I've only just now, you can see the end of that shelf right where I ended my incline. That is key. So I'm gonna see if I can real quick get it to make a little better sound just by strengthening this edge. So I have some sound. Not the best sound just yet, but this is also very soft. So what comes next is actually allowing this to become a little closer to leather hard. So we'll get back to this in a few hours. Alright, so a few days later in the life of my strange lemon whistle I am calling Ocarina, I am ready to stab some holes in it. This is the note chart that I am hoping to use, but first we need to determine the base tune of the whistle itself, and that is going to be our starting point. So this might not follow along so perfectly. So I've actually just poked 2 holes in my ocarina so far, so I can go. And in order to tune, I can take my needle tool and I can widen these holes in order to increase the pitch. So I can, and it'll be more dramatic with this other one. So I go, and then once I'm actually going to take this tool and just give it a quick turn. That widened the hole quite a bit. That might be a little too much. It's actually not bad. Alright, so for the moment, you get the idea on how to create your holes. You want to start out small, so if I still need to finish tuning these, but if I go ahead and move down to the next one, it's a 6-fingered ocarina, so I need to figure out where my other finger is going to go, so I'm going to put it right there. And you want to start off with something like a needle tool, or pretty much the thinnest thing you have. And from there, you can tune it by widening that hole. Once that hole is widened, you can't really go back, so start small. Okay, so this is not quite tuned yet. I've been working on it. I would like to work on it further, but just to give you guys an idea of where we're at. Ran out of breath there, but I do have a fairly good scale. One thing you'll note is it's no longer sharp. You can poke little outlets in your ocarina. I would recommend only one to change the pitch. It only has to be a tiny little hole to change that pitch. Okay, so making an ocarina is rather difficult. This is not a project you should try to take on if you're looking for something simple. There's a lot of nuance to how you make the thing, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and a lot of things that you can get frustrated on, especially just this arrangement right here is will cause you a whole lot of headaches. And if you want to actually get it to a fully tuned scale, that takes some time. So if you do decide that you do want to make an ocarina, prepare to spend some considerable effort in doing so. And if this is the project you decide on, I wish you the best of fortunes.